She trusted me. She gave me her rental car to turn in at the airport. I did. Oh, you mean they finally found it? No. She was running late to the airport, so I took the car, and we've got to know each other. And I'm very impressed with what she's done. And of course, you know Amelia, who was our immediate past, just had a great line. And Peter Anderson, our district governor elect, is a tremendous man too. That's going to be great. So I'm happy to have our district governor come to speak with us today. And this is the mic. You can just clip on
Click on the
for
mic,
Cindy.
and then I'm going to try to switch out the screen here real quick. So hang tight while we do live in show. Okay. Go over here. Go over here. And the clicker. How's everybody doing? Thank you for showing up. I know it is an incredibly busy time of year. My husband said to me last night, "You're going where and doing what?" And I said, "We have a couple more meetings before Christmas." And so I do live in Charlottesville, Virginia. I drove up, like I said earlier this morning. I'll just click the next one. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been a member of Rotary for 14 years, so I'm at the Blue Ridge Mountain Rotary Club. We meet every Wednesday morning at 7:15, so it's a very devoted group of morning people. So I am a morning person, but 4 was a little early. So if I'm a little tired today, that's why, but I am really excited to be here with you all and share a little bit about what I hope to accomplish this year and a little bit about the district and what a district governor does. My day job, as Wes mentioned, is I am CEO and president of the United Way of Greater Charlottesville. And so I oversee about 22 counties, all of sort of the central Virginia corridor. I actually wish we could come up as far as this community because the capital area United Way has your area, but I don't know that there's a lot of United Way activity. So got my eye on it. I'm hoping to take over some more zip codes. But we do the valley. So we do Stanton, Augusta, Waynesboro, Harrisonburg, all the way up to Winchester along the valley corridor. In my day job, we are very devoted to accessibility. So we work with young children and their parents to make sure they can access quality preschool and kindergarten programs so that they have that sort of early ed start in life. And then we work with families, kind of like the connections. I was talking to Chris on the phone the other night in the board meeting, making sure that they get the services they need for financial stability. So financial coaching, transportation, childcare, workforce development, and also affordable housing. So a lot of the issues that Rotary thinks about are also part of what we think about as United Way presidents. And so all of it to say, my day job blends well with my volunteer passion, which is Rotary. I did meet my husband in Rotary 7 years ago. We got married a year ago in Greece. And so he's great. He's a Rotarian and he travels and helps me out quite a bit. And it's just been fun to kind of have your husband be a Rotarian, right? He understands what this is all about. So that's a little bit about my background. And we're going to talk just a little bit about some of the bigger themes in Rotary. So you see here that there is a flag hanging, and this is good for some of the new folks too to learn about. Rotary has had themes in the past. So last year, who can remember what Amelia's theme was? Because it went really well with her personality. That's right, Magic of Rotary. And so themes are something that Rotary has historically done, but they've realized that we have sort of a brand challenge. So if you're out and about in the community and you say you're Rotarian, raise your hand if anybody can reflect back to you what they think that means. Can anybody say when they're out and about and they say, "I'm a Rotarian," does anybody know what that is when you talk about it? Usually not. And maybe they've heard something, maybe they've heard about the Global Scholarship, maybe they had, when they were in high school, maybe they heard about Rotary because they got a scholarship for college, but often they can't really reflect back what your Rotary experience is. And so one of the things that Rotary International is really working hard on is how they promote their brand and how they create brand awareness. And so they felt like the messages would enhance the brand versus themes, which can kind of take you off track and kind of get you excited about the magic of Rotary, but maybe not actually understanding what Rotary truly is. And so that's kind of what it's all about. If you go to Starbucks and you get a cup of coffee, it's pretty much always the same and the experience is always the same. And you know what Starbucks says, Rotary wants to create the same type of structure around their brand. So Unite for Good is the message for now. And I think it's going to be around, they say for a few years, you never know. And what it means to me personally, when I'm overseeing a United Way in particular, is when you pull resources together, and I heard on the board meeting the other night how a lot of resources have been pulled together for different service projects, both locally and globally. That's exactly what you're doing. You're pulling resources together from multiple sources to achieve a particular priority or a particular strategy. for good, to make a difference. And that's what Uniting for Good is all about. The Connections Project that you talked about, which is an incredible program that you have here, and I think Manassas is also involved in, is very much that kind of thing. You're pulling a lot of resources together, whether it be federal grant, state grant, and you're dispersing them to families at the local level who need those resources for various things to support their families. So that's all what it means for Unite for Good. And the reason I kind of unpack that today is talk about it when you're out in the community. Understand what messages are out there for Rotary and what it is to be a Rotarian in terms of some of the impact we're making. See if I can get this to work. Maybe down here. Nope, nope.
Oh, I think she
Did it get to, I can also just,
I've tried.
okay, I'm gonna, oops, let me just go ahead and turn on the volume here. It was in Spanish for Zamora. Oop, let me do this. Yeah, so, but it's also in about 150 other languages. So that goes on for a few more minutes. I won't play the whole thing. But the reason I like to show that is it's Unite for Good, but it's in all of the languages that Rotary is involved with as far as countries that we represent. So Rotary is a global organization, and I like to kind of bring that message when I meet with clubs because it's very local. And in fact, most of our club experience is hyper-local. For me, for the first 10 years, I only thought about Charlottesville issues and what my club was doing. And then when I decided to become an assistant governor, like Wes, I got out in the broader community and I was like, well, we have 7 other clubs doing pretty incredible things in my community. And then I went to an international conference. I was like, wow, like 30,000 people get together for 5 days from around the world and we're all making impact and we all care just as much about Rotary in our own little hometown as I care about my Rotary club. That was like a big moment for me. So I did Toronto and then I loved that so much. I went to Hamburg. I tried to go to Hawaii. It was COVID, so they canceled. But most recently Calgary. So I just like to remind Rotarians that you are part of a global family, for real. When you're out there and you're meeting people from around the world, you make friends and they're on WhatsApp. And so I get people in India sending me messages. I get people down in Argentina. I have an exchange student we had at my home, I think 8 years ago. Still, every single holiday, every single birthday sends me a message asking how I am. That's like the global family of Rotary that you're a member of. So it takes 33,000 clubs to make up what we are globally, and we're in 172 countries, and we're 1.3 million Rotarians. So especially for our newest members in the room, 100% focus on your local community, but also think expansively. What are things that you have an interest in that are beyond just the 4 walls of this space, or even your local community here in Haymarket, Gainesville area? So the purpose and power of Rotary, one of the things I like to talk about is, particularly in my corporate life before I got into nonprofit, I would come so I worked in the Northern Virginia corridor for many years. I graduated from George Mason, worked in Philadelphia, worked in the Triangle area. And I would meet people and they would talk about how they were trying to find their purpose, but in their sort of corporate life, that was tough. And one of the things I really love about Rotary is it's an opportunity for you to find your purpose if you haven't found it yet. Or if you have something that you're really interested, like maybe you want to serve people, through a food pantry program, or maybe you want to work with children around literacy. Rotary is a place where you can come and you can connect that passion and purpose in a community. And one of the wonderful things about it is you get to do that service with others, right? So it's really a fellowship opportunity. You're not just doing service on your own, you're doing it in a community. And I love this, together we discover who we are by serving something greater than ourselves. One of the things we talk a lot about in our culture is that people feel a little disconnected. They feel disconnected from community. And so this here is an opportunity to create that connection. And we get to create a more compassionate world when we get together and we do service and we give back. I'm on the board of my local chamber. We gather around business issues. Rotary, it's about service issues. So we are a membership organization first, and we talked about membership this morning. But at the end of the day, we gather because we care about other people and we care about service above self, and we're people of action. And so in thinking about your personal journey, what's your purpose? If you're new to the club and you haven't found your purpose, I encourage the members of this club to gather around your newest members and help identify that purpose. And if you have something already that you're passionate about, I encourage members of the club to get behind and support you in that, and also to get you connected to service, because that's the most important thing when you join. My first 2 years in the club, I ran our Salvation Army dinner once a month, and that's how I got to know club members. That's how I got to feel really a part of a community, but was by serving. So just things to be thinking about in your Rotary journey. So Rotary International has both a mission and a vision statement. How many people in the room are familiar with our vision statement? Does anybody know the vision statement? I mean, you can look at it now, but before I showed it to you today, are you familiar with our vision statement? Couple people? Okay. It's important to know that we have both a mission and a vision. If any of you have been in corporate life, I'm sure many of you have been, or run your own companies, you'll tend to have a mission. But the vision is really what we aspire to be and who we are as an organization. And so that statement, it's good to remember it. It's good to know what it is, because this is what we stand for. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. And that speaks to the Rotary journey. It's a personal journey that we go on. We show up because we want to serve others. We may not totally understand what that means, but we know we want to give back. Once you're here, you'll get plugged in. You'll be doing some things. But you're also involved in the community, right? Your greater community here in the Haymarket area. And then, of course, you're part of this larger global community. I was out at West Springfield this morning, and Fred, who was their past president, was actually back in Africa right now doing one of the water projects as part of the Strategic Water Alliance. And so he'd actually just installed some water wells and things of that nature in his own hometown. And he's going to fly back and keep, living his life and raising awareness and funds here in the United States. So again, very, very unique to Rotary experiences being a part of this really neat platform. So, speech that inspires, Theodore Roosevelt's speech, Citizen in the Republic. Has anybody seen this speech, or is anybody familiar with this speech? Okay. I like to share this because it really talks about the courage to make change in your community. And so, in our world today, there's lots of things that we want to work on and things that could be improved. But it takes a degree of courage to actually jump into the metaphorical arena and do something about it. And so this really speaks to that. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, but who does actually strive to do the deeds. And I was listening to Jill talk about all the work that you've done with Peace Corps and whatnot. And you're going to Africa, you said in January, right? So again, that's not necessarily easy work, right? But it's incredibly meaningful and incredibly important work. And that's what this speech is all about. It's about having the courage to get out and do the hard thing, but the good thing in your community. Even if other people might not agree of how you're going about it, do the thing, right? It's really the most important way, I think, to be a Rotarian is to get involved and to take action. So a little bit about our district. You are part of 52 clubs. So we have 52 clubs across the district. We have 4 Rotaract clubs. And so if you're new, Rotaract clubs are those sort of young professionals, sort of loosely people under the age of 30, even though we don't put age on it, but loosely under the age of 30. So people in college or sort of folks just out of college. We have a Rotaract club at George Mason University. We have one at Mary Washington over in Fredericksburg, and we have one at University of Virginia down in Charlottesville. And we have a new club that just started over in Vienna. So it's an e-club, it's a virtual club. And I always encourage Rotary clubs to invite, in your case, the George Mason Club or the Vienna Club, to come out and be a part of projects that you're doing. These are young folks that are looking, one, to get involved in service, but two, they want mentors and they want to connect with some adults who have sort of, professional lives that maybe they could benefit from. So we're fortunate to have 4 right now, and I think we might even have a 5th opening out in the Reston area. So it's a really great time for some of our younger leaders in our district right now. We do focus on 7 areas, and I think actually they were mentioned earlier. So promoting peace, or fewer, fighting disease, providing clean water and sanitation, serving mothers and children, supporting education, growing local economies, and protecting the environment. So these are the 7 areas of focus that Rotary puts energy, resources, and time into and creates platforms around. And so good to sort of be familiar. That doesn't mean that we can't work outside those areas of focus, but those are the areas that by putting these priorities in place and putting resources into them with our foundation, we know that we can have the best outcome and we can have the biggest impact. All of this, by the way, is available on Rotary.org. So if you're new and you want to learn more, go to rotary.org because all of this information is available there. So our district, it looks like a boot. This is kind of what the overall geographic region is. So you can see the part that comes down here, that is the northern neck area. And so I was unfamiliar with many of the cities and counties down there until I became district governor. Have since been down to Matthews County a couple times, Warsaw, Gloucester, tiny little communities along the water, very rural, a lot of poverty actually. But those Rotary Club down there are like the little engines that could. They're doing big work. In fact, Matthews is now part of the Global Strategic Water Alliance to raise resources for water improvement in Matthews County because they don't have clean drinking water down there actually right now in Matthews County. So believe it or not. So they've got involved in doing a district grant or a global grant for that. They also didn't have any childcare down there, and people do like in-home childcare, but they had no quality childcare. So they raised $35,000 and started a childcare center at their local YMCA. So again, you can be a smallish club and still have huge impact, and you can actually solve local issues that maybe government can't step into or local nonprofits can't resource. Rotary can be that sort of connecting tissue there. If you go back up from Richmond, you see Charlottesville. That's where I live. And then where I spend a ton of time is driving up and down 29 to Northern Virginia, where 70% of my clubs exist. And so a lot of the clubs are in the sort of Northern Virginia corridor, which is a completely different experience than being out in like the Northern Neck area. So you can be in Alexandria, which I was last week, with 100 members in a country club overlooking the Potomac Water. A very different experience than being down in, let's call it Warsaw, which was a little cafe in the back of a restaurant with 10 members, right? But that's okay. Rotary doesn't have to be one single way. Rotary is about what does it mean to you to serve in the community with other people. It's really what it's all about. So that's a little bit about what the district looks like. And I'm going to share a video. Oops, hold on. I gotta remember that. Service, meet action. So let me just say, this is a video. Well, this is District 7610, where legacy and service meet action, and every Rotarian moves this district forward. Across Northern and Central Virginia, with over 50 clubs and nearly 2,000 passionate members, we are a district defined by diversity, innovation, and a deep commitment to service. Home to iconic landmarks like Jefferson's Monticello, Washington's Mount Vernon, and the Pentagon, our region is steeped in American history. From the shores of the Chesapeake Bay to the peaks of the Blue Ridge Mountains, you'll find a landscape that invites you to hike, kayak, and sail. Impact takes many forms, from building a wheelchair ramp for a 5-year-old girl with spina bifida. We're putting books into the hands of thousands of children through Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, to serving hot meals for unhoused neighbors in Charlottesville. We work together to create lasting change across our district. Through collective action, we can make a difference, and together we will unite for good. So that's a little video that we put together when we went to what we call zone training. So we are part of a zone 33. We have, I think, 30 some districts in zone 33, and we often do training with zone 34. So Rotary is made up of clubs that make up districts, and districts make up zones, and there's zones across the world. And so we were asked to put together a quick little video of about a minute about what makes our district unique. And so my husband, who owns a marketing firm, actually did that for me as a gift. He's a very good husband. So that was in our living room that we shot that little video. But it gives a sense of kind of what, you know, the district is all about. So leadership commitments. What does a district governor do? So one of the primary goals, that's Amelia, as you know, most of you, our immediate past district governor. In her year, and even before her year, under Renee's leadership, we started a strategic plan for the district. And so Juanita Qualley, who's also a past district governor, worked across the district to gather up feedback and did a listening tour about who we are right now as a district and who we want to be, more importantly. You know, strategic plans, and we got Wes here today, which I normally never have Wes in the room, and I get to talk about club visioning without him here, but he's here, so he might pipe in. But at the district level, it's just like if you put an address into your nav system to get to where you're trying to go. Strategic planning is no different. I'm sure a lot of you have done strategic planning in maybe your day job or your other worlds. But for us as a district, it's going to help give us a roadmap to where we want to take the district in the next 3 years. And having goals that attach to tasks with a timeline and people associated with them is generally how business gets done. And so our goal this year is to get that strategic plan complete and done and presented hopefully at CPETS or this spring. And that will be kind of like how we think about moving forward. And the district governor is responsible for that process. We're also responsible for all the training. So if you've been to CPETS, if you're in leadership, or you're going to pre-PETS, or you're an assistant governor, or things like DTA, we have a lot of acronyms, so don't feel overwhelmed. It takes a moment to learn them all. But basically lots of opportunities to learn and grow as a Rotarian and to grow in leadership as a Rotarian. And so the district governor is responsible for putting together and making sure that those trainings are done well. We work on public image, so getting the word out about who we are and what we do in our district. One thing I've noticed, particularly in traveling across the district, is we tend to be humble people. Like we don't want to talk about what we do because we just want to do the good deed. And I love that about Rotarians. But we do need to talk about what we do because we want to share the message and get that storytelling out. Like connections, we want to tell everybody this Rotary Club supports connections. This is how we impact families. Come join us and impact families too. That's really important. So promoting public image and then ensuring transparent, inclusive district governance. So there's a 500-page document that governs how we run the district that's backed up by Rotary International, and the district governor is responsible for the governance of the district for the year that I'm in that role. And it takes a big team to do it. This is a messy little diagram, but I like to show it because this is your senior leadership team. So these are all the folks that once a month meet with me. In fact, a lot of these folks I meet with every day. Seems like every day, talk a lot. And we have 12 assistant governors. So Wes is one assistant governor, but he's got a family of 11 others that he meets with and talks to pretty regularly. And this is the team that supports the district. And so they're all Rotarians, just like yourself. We don't have an ivory tower. We all exist in our own clubs, but we've raised our hand and agreed to serve at the district level. Basically, we just do more things now for the district. But each one of these people is available to support the corresponding person on your board. So if you're doing foundation, you've got Ralph Menzel. He is passionate about all things foundation, and he has a whole team. And his team is working, collectively throughout the district to support foundations. It might be a learning leader. So that would be Harry Henderson, who's a past district governor. He's working to set up all the training. So each one of these individuals is there to support this district overall. And I always encourage the boards to and of course your president, Mark, to kind of know who the people are and know how to get in touch with them. I know the year I was president, it was a big mystery who was doing what. There is actually, of all else fails, an 800 number when you call RI, and they do answer it. So if you're really flummoxed, you can always call RI and say, I'm having this challenge, what do I do? And they do provide you with answers. But there is a district team to help out as well. And that team is, a big part of what I do in terms of managing their workflow. So in terms of goals, I have sort of 6 goals, and I'll talk broadly about them so we can make sure to end on time. Membership's always a big thing. We've talked about it today. One of the challenges Rotary is having as a brand, particularly in North America, is attrition. So we have new people coming on board, but we're losing more people than we're attracting. And there's lots of reasons behind that, but civic organizations is something that people necessarily think about when they think about how to spend their time. There's a lot of other ways people gather, and we have the internet, and we have social media, and we have all these other ways that people can gather virtually. And so these sort of civic groups are something that we really have to be intentional about. What's the new civic organization look like in the future? It's more flexible, probably. It has hybrid options, so you can join virtually or in person. It's not as expensive, right? We don't want money to ever be a barrier to being a Rotarian. We want flexibility. We want people with children to be able to join and do projects too. So just being mindful about how we're gathering and how we're presenting ourselves as Rotarians, I think that's a big part of how we'll be successful in attracting new members and, more importantly, keeping new members. So in our district right now, we've had about 155 people join since July 1, which is fantastic. I get an email every week from all the new people joining. At least 155. We're leading right now in our zone, which is really wonderful. We're doing well. But the rub is that it's only net 33 members. So if you look at the people that have left, we're only net, meaning that in totality, it's only 33 total. So that's a number that we keep an eye on. One of the things we do to also combat that is, one, making sure the club experience is positive for folks, but also looking at where a new club could be open that's maybe a different model. So that might be one that just meets virtually around service projects. So Eileen Curtis, who's she oversees all of the membership at the district level, is getting one off the ground that's for families. So if you have children under the age of 18, you'll be able to meet virtually once a month, and then you'll be able to do projects together. So that's a new type. So to be thinking creatively, your business people in the room, your creative thinkers, your entrepreneurs, what are ways that we can think about putting together clubs that maybe are non-traditional, but still meet the needs of Rotarians, which is to make sure that there's service above self and a way to serve and a way to connect in terms of membership. So my goal this year is 125 net new members, and that's what we're working toward. It is ambitious, but I'm feeling comfortable that we'll get there. Giving is another really important piece. So the foundation, do you guys have a local foundation in your club? That's what I thought from our board meeting. So often when I'm in club meetings, people get a little confused about a local foundation, meaning the club's foundation versus the Rotary International Foundation. They're both vitally important to the work of this club, but one is serving the district and Rotary International, and one is literally serving projects and things that you're doing here at the club level. We encourage participation in our foundation because those dollars come back in the form of district grants. A district grant is a pot of money that exists for each club to be able to do a project in their community to make an impact. And so those grants are usually around $2,500 to $3,000. It depends on how much money we raise as a district. We also do global grants with those resources, so global scholars. So every year we have two or three. This year we only had one because we've been down and giving a little bit since COVID, but we've had as many as 6 students be able to study abroad and do work backed by Rotary support. We also have Peace Fellows. So lots of ways that those dollars go back to further basically the mission of Rotary, both in the district and then in the global network. So my goal this year, I'll just ask, how much money do you think we raised last year for the foundation, for the district foundation? Anybody want to take a stab? There's not really a wrong. I mean, there is a wrong answer, but it's okay. Okay, that's good. Good start. More. We raised more than that. Anybody else want to take us?
150.
Closer. So we raised 900,000 last year, which is really great. And this year I want to raise 1 million. So my goal is to raise $1 million for the foundation. And we're on track to do it. We're ahead of goal for the year. Ross has been doing a wonderful job with his team. We have a lot of renewed interest in investing in and being a part of the foundation efforts. And so the goal this year is to be able to raise $1 million. One way that we can do that is through Rotary Direct. Does anybody know what Rotary Direct is? A couple people in the room. So basically, you make a commitment to give $10 a month for 12 months. That's what we're asking people to think about. And you do it by going right onto Rotary.org and signing up. And if we did that, we would double our foundation giving, which means our district grants would go from $2,500 to $5,000. And what a lot of our clubs do is they pool their district grants. So 5 clubs will get together, 5,000 apiece. Suddenly you're making a massive impact in a program. 25,000 or 30,000 for connections is a big chunk of money. It can do a lot of good. So that's how we think about, sort of investing in our foundation and Rotary Direct. Engagement, storytelling. So that's another area that we're really working diligently to get people more involved in. Do you all know that we have a district website? Has anybody visited the district website? Okay, I've got one person. So if you just Google District 7610, we have a robust website and it's full of great information about what all the clubs are doing. So if you're ever looking to visit another club or hear about a service project that a club's doing, or one of our district events that you might want to attend, district conferences. We do strikeout polio, baseball. There's lots of things going on. Check out the district website. That information's there, and Facebook as well. We have a district Facebook page, and we're regularly posting. We have an incredible network. There's no way I could stand up here in 20 minutes and give you a sense of the totality of impact that every club is doing, but take what your club's doing and multiply it times 52, and that's the impact this district has. It's amazing when you get out and you get to see all that work. And we try to keep that stuff current on our Facebook page.
Links are on our webpage, website.
Yeah, so if you're like me and you're at a stop sign sitting there, click on the Facebook page and take a look. I know we always like, I don't have time for that. But you can be in the grocery store online and you can do it. That's how I do it. So yeah, whenever you have a moment, take a look. You'll be inspired by all the goodness going on. And send me photos. So I ask our club presidents or our PI chairs at the board level to send me photos of the projects you're doing and things that you're doing because I want to share that message with other clubs. Emerging leaders. So we have a youth summit coming up. Are you all familiar with the youth summit? Some folks in the room, I feel like Jackie knows all the things. Talk to Jackie or Mark. She shakes her head at all the things. So we have a youth summit coming up. That's going to be on the 24th of January at the Arlington campus of George Mason. And that's an opportunity, if you have an Interact club, to invite them to come out. And there's going to be a Shark Tank platform. Amelia's behind this sort of master plan, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun where kids can actually compete around a service project with each other to see who has the best service project, and then whoever gets funded gets to go do their service project. So we have about $6,000 that the district's setting aside to give whatever Interact clubs is the first, second, third runner-up to go invest in service projects in the district. So it's a great way to get kids involved in service early on and to kind of create that mentorship opportunity. The other thing that we're doing is we have a RILA camp, which is basically, again, a youth camp that helps you understand all things Rotary and service. And that will be hosted with 7620, the district to the north of us, in Annapolis, Maryland, later this spring. So if you have kiddos that you think would be interested, you can connect them with me, or Mark and can connect them with me, but we can get them that information. The headline is we want to involve youth in Rotary. We want to be thinking about the next generation. And then strategic planning. Again, we have Wes here. We're doing something called club visioning. Has anybody heard about club visioning? Couple folks. So club visioning is a process that usually takes about 3, 4, 5 hours, half a day, sort of depends. We get together usually on a Saturday, but it can be another day of the week. Usually people choose Saturday or Sunday. And Wes will come in with folks from the district team and will basically help you imagine what is possible for your club in 3 years. So it's sort of a brainstorming session, sort of a reimagining of how your club might grow in terms of raising dollars for your foundation, in terms of attracting members, your service projects, your events. And we get all those ideas and we create a plan that actually has some tactical goals. So it's like the goals that you want to accomplish by year, who's going to be involved in being responsible for what, and sort of a timeline around it. And that's your roadmap. And that comes back to your club. And that's something you can use to keep doing all of the great things you're doing, but expand where you want to expand and add new opportunities as you want to add new opportunities. And we call that process club visioning. It's strategic planning, but with a twist. I like to think about it that way, because strategic planning typically is looking back about what you've done to create your plan, and this is looking forward to think about it. Is there anything else you want to add since you're with me today? Was that thorough? Okay.
Getting to sign. So since I'm also your assistant governor, I'm kind of ashamed of that, so.
Well, we'll hope to inspire you into wanting to do it. So it is a great program. That's right. That's right. The clubs that have done it have really enjoyed the process. So something to think about. And then lastly, peace building. Peace building is a big title, and what does it even mean? And people are like, how does it matter? We do have a event coming up at the district. It will be February 7th. All of these dates are on the website, but it's February 7th and it will be over in Fredericksburg. It's a full day of peace building and relationship building. We'll have peace fellows coming back to our district who've gotten a grant to go do peace building activities internationally, talking about how they're making a difference and the different communities that they work in. There's lots of ways that you can get involved in peace building. If you go onto our Rotary.org website, there's the Institute for Economics and Peace Building, and they have 8 areas where you can focus on. Mostly and most important to think about is building into existing service projects. And if there's one person in the club that this message resonates with today, talk to Mark. Mark can put him in touch with me and Bill Cawley at the district level, who can set up a phone call and start to introduce you to what that means. But the more we institute those peace building tactics into service projects, you can see some really wonderful results and some wonderful things come out of it. But if you remember nothing else today, think about going over and trying out that event that we're going to have on February 7th. The district will help supplement the price of it, so it's not expensive to go to, so that you have that opportunity to learn about peace building. And then there's peace polls. Some people actually want a symbolic sort of a poll that they can put in a park in their community and use it as a conversation starter about peace building and community. So different ways that you can get engaged. Yeah, go ahead.
So I've been to the Kingdom twice. They're really inspiring. And I've seen Amelia, the Warrington Peace Poll. It's really cool. River over in Warrington,
That's a good point.
It's really cool. I'd love for us to have them.
Yep. So here, if you want to take a picture, if you're interested, these are some different resources and opportunities. This slide deck has got many slides, and Mark can share it out with the club because I'm not going to go through all of it today. We don't have time. But here are some of the ways that you can engage in peace building activities. And for the very adventurous soul, we'll be doing a field trip down to Duke, UNC, to a conference in April. And any Rotarian can join us. We kind of carpool down there and go do that for a Saturday. And it's eye-opening when you start to learn about all the ways. At my United Way, we did a bunch of peace building with the New Gen Peace Builders. And so we did something called a community table. We brought people from diverse communities in Charlottesville and sat down to share a meal and share our lived experience so we could build relationship and understand each other better. And it was fabulous. It was really great for community building. And I will just leave you with this because we're coming up on 1:30. There is an app called Ignite. Does anybody in the room have Ignite on their phone? Great. Good. We're getting the message out. Gold stars for your club. So we ask you to use that app because it's a way to, one, find each other. 2, if you're out in the community, you can actually put information in for somebody who's interested, and it will send them out those forms in a really easy and sort of flawless kind of a way. You can record service when you're out and about. So if you're doing a project, you can put in your hours. You guys can kind of know how much service you're giving back to the community. It's just an easy tool. It's way easier than DACDB, which is more for the graduate level connoisseur of databases for a board member, perhaps. But for the everyday member, we encourage you to think about Ignite as a way to learn a little bit more. And then new club creation app is for those folks that are interested in building new clubs. So it's not for all the folks to have to do, but if you're interested in that, Rotary International came up with this, and it's a really nice way to help you kind of understand how to build a new club in your community. And then I'm just going to go ahead and end with some of these key save the dates. You heard me talk about it already, but Youth Summit coming up in January. Again, we'd love to have this club involved, and I think you guys are already on that. We've got pre-pets coming up. So Indira, I think you probably have that date, January 31st. It's a chance to go and learn and meet all the other people that will be be the president your year. and then CPETs, which will also be important for you to attend. And then district team training assembly, everybody's invited to. So it's a day of learning, connecting, fellowship building. It's typically held out in this area. You guys, by the way, are the middle of the district, so you get to be near many of the things the district does, because for the folks coming up from the Northern Neck or the people coming out from Loudon, this tends to be the best place. So most of the things will be in your literal backyard. So we hope you come to that. That's April 25th. If you're feeling super adventurous, international conferences in Taipei this year. There's about 20 of us lined up to go. I'll be going, others in the district, and always an opportunity to learn more. But it's a big journey to go halfway around the world. I get that. And then lastly, awards and installation will be Sunday, June 28th. It's actually going to be at the Piedmont Club, which is right down the street. I hear it's like a few miles from here. So I hope to see many of you there. We're going to celebrate all of the accomplishments of the district during the year. And with that, I will go ahead and finish it up. It's 1:30 on the dot. Look at that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So we're right on time. Interesting.